if you're completely honest about who you are, what you do, what you want in a relationship, you're going to find somebody out there that wants those things too.
I think that's fair. I guess going back to this whole thing, though, it sort of seems to me like the thought process is, as a woman, if you're doing this sort of like make some guys wait, just other guys really quickly, it's like, I thought this guy was a better long-term prospect, so I treated him worse than the guys I knew who were just like for sex. Those are typically like the boys' assholes.
What do you mean worse?
Hold on. But, and this is what you essentially are saying to the guy who you want to wait and have like a long-term relationship with, you were so important to me that I treated sex like it was sacred, but just for you. Not those other 20 guys who got it hit the first night. It's only sacred for you, but for those other dudes, yeah, you can just right away.
I don't know if we're treating it as sacred, more as like wanting you to accept us, but also I think that I think we've all been through this, most of us have been through this, where you have sex with a guy, whether it's after a few dates or on the first night, he doesn't talk to you anymore. The hurt with him not talking to you anymore is less with a guy who you don't see any potential with, rather than a guy who is like, you want something, you want more out of from. And so like, I don't know, having sex with him too soon, it hurts. It's like whatever, like you want to make him like you want to make him do this. I don't really know.
That's a really good point.
That is a really good point. I agree with that.
But also, I feel like there's a very big difference between fucking someone and making love to someone. Like having those different connections are completely different. And I would say that, you know, if somebody goes on the street and like they're horny and they want to fuck the hot girl like that they met, let's say at a fashion show, that's what they're going to look for. But there's a difference between fucking and loving. And so, hey, you might fuck somebody on the first date and they might end up being your baby daddy. I don't know. Emotions are not logical.
What's the difference?
What's the difference between fucking and lovemaking?
Yeah.
Connection, I think.
It's not something you can describe. It's something you got to feel. And the people who know it know it.
Yeah.
Feeling like...
So I don't know if that's going to be, like, I'll just grant that. But like from the male perspective, if I'm sitting here as like you're viewing me as the potential boyfriend and you're saying, I want to those other guys, but you have to wait.
I wouldn't make you wait.
That's like, isn't that like the typical like, nah, baby, I didn't make love to her. I was fucking her, so it didn't mean anything. Like what, you know what I mean? Like what are you talking about?
In a relationship like
you
that,
weren't making love, baby. I only make love to you.
Well, hey, in a relationship like that where you're supposed to be monogamous, yes, that's a slap in the face. But as someone who's polyamorous, like I play with Madison's husband all the time, and it's different than when I play with my own partner. So
yeah, so you're just fucking him. You ain't making love.
He's a good though.
He is.
Yeah, but you ain't making love, because that's a whole different thing. You only make love to the people you have that special butterfly-like feeling with.
Yeah.
But Brian, your stance kind of sounds like the thing that you only value a woman in a relationship for having sex if you're punishing them by making them wait. Like, isn't there a lot more that a woman can bring to the table, and maybe she respects you for more than just your body and more than just a and that's why she wants to wait? I mean, I completely think it's stupid when girls like hook up all over town their whole life and then suddenly decide they want to wait till marriage with one guy. That's ridiculous. But to say I want to take this a little more seriously and I want to respect you as a human and make sure there's like a deeper connection before we take it there, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as it's like a reasonable time frame.
Well, just I do want to clarify, my position is not that all women do bring or can bring to the table is just sex. I don't know if that's what you were trying to...
It kind of seemed that way because we're punishing guys by making the good guys wait. That's what you said.
But how would that follow that that's all that women bring to the table?
I don't know, because you see that as a punishment rather than we're respecting men for more than just their bodies.
Where's the...
It's an implication. You didn't straight up say it. But
I don't think there's any implication there. Somebody can like punish somebody in like one vertical, and it doesn't mean that they're not bringing other things to the table.
Well, you're just seeing it as a glass half empty, that it's like a punishment rather than respecting you for more than just your body and your penis.
Well, why isn't she respecting herself in previous sexual encounters then?
It's not about respecting herself. It's about respecting the other person.
How so?
because in one instance, both parties were just looking to have some good sex and release some good hormones. In a different case, you're looking to spend the rest of your life with someone and see where this goes.
Yeah, but why would withholding sex preclude somebody from
It wouldn't
getting that?
necessarily, but in some cases, like I said, maybe it didn't work out the other way for girls before, and they decided, hey, maybe I'll make them wait a couple dates. Like 9 months would be ridiculous.
Sure.
But
Well,
maybe
let me
let's
give you
get to know each
sure.
other first.
Let me. I'm going to go through a couple analogies here. I have them written down, kind of none of these quite perfectly hit on this, but I think it's fair to go through a bunch of these analogies and to perhaps try to give you the perspective of how men might experience this. So, who here wants a guy to pay for the first date? Show of hands. Pay for the first date. Pay for the first date. Pay the first date.
It depends on their financial situation.
Yeah, so let's say you really like this guy, you go on a date, everything's great, but you find out that he wants to go 50-50 with you until you guys are married. Objections?
I already go 50-50 with my
Okay,
partner.
that's fine. This is for those
50-50 for paying?
for the first date.
50
You didn't raise your hand though, so this is for the people who want a guy to pay for the first date. So
Sorry.
your reaction.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like he should pay for the first date. Like that's the traditional way
Okay.
that you want a traditional woman.
And
well,
then what about you?
I would be open to it, but initially I would, if you're trying to court me, then yeah, pay for the date. If you ask me on a date. If I
Okay.
ask you, it's different.
Sure.
I would assume we're friends if he didn't pay for the first date. I'm not saying
he wants to date you, but he's like,
I
yeah,
still would, but he's not sending me the right message. I'm not saying he has to pay for every date at all.
he's overt, like he's like, hey, I really like you, but this is just kind of my values. I prefer 50-50.
I would still assume that he just wants. I would look at him as a friend. I feel
No,
like
but he's like, I want to fuck you
I still would look at him as a friend.
and date you and have
Sucks
babies.
to suck. You want to fuck me? I still look at you as a friend.
Okay, so just to be clear, if he wants to fuck you, he has to pay for the first date.
Yeah, because I think it's
Appreciate
like an
it.
announcement.
Okay, and so, but to those of you who want guys to pay for the first date, you learn, even though he says, and you're really interested, you really like this guy.
I mean, what does a piece of pie buy?
it's the math.
Is
I'm
the
just kidding.
piece of pie second base, and then, like, does the appetizer pay for the first kiss? Like, how does this work?
Okay, so those of you who said, like, yeah, you do want the guy to pay for the first date, you learn that for his last 3 girlfriends, he paid for everything. He paid for rent, dates, vacations. He'd go on like a couple dates a week, pay for everything, pay the entire bill. And he's telling you, well, like, you're really special to me. Like, I think you could be the one, blah, blah, blah. But he wants to go 50-50. And there's been no change in his financial position. Like, he hasn't lost his job, anything like that. You feel a little bit like, well, hold on. Why did all your exes get this kind of treatment? And do you feel that way?
Yeah.
I would question
Would
it.
you feel a type of way?
I would just question like what changed.
There is a question
Nothing.
of
But what changed is he really likes you, and he wants it to be serious with you.
Can I make
Hold on, let me get her response, and then you can go.
I would be uncomfortable if a guy paid for everything the same way he, like, for instance, like, I wouldn't be comfortable in myself knowing that a guy pays for literally everything. Like, that would make me feel guilty. But I still think on the first date, I think it's just like, I don't know, I'm very big on proof, and I tend to question things a lot. So if I have the proof of like, okay, like, he asked me to hang out, yeah, like, he'll pay for the first date, but that does not mean I'm like stuck on him paying for everything. Absolutely not.
Right.
If anything,
Did you understand? I'm sorry, were you not listening?
I was listening.
This
If he
isn't-
was paying, so he's paid for everything else for other females, and now looking at me, he's like, I actually appreciate you as like a person, blah, 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 and this is why I
Yeah.
want to go half and half. I mean, I wouldn't mind going half and half. I just still would, I'm not going to be your learning curve. Like, if you're that messed up from other girls, like, take a moment to yourself and knowing that if transactions, like, I don't know how to explain that. Like,
because maybe he was taken advantage of by those girls that took too
I would actually like you to explain that.
I think that I don't know, I think that there's like, and I think, like I said, proof. Maybe I get a little bit like bunged up on the details and I can't tell how people feel about me. So little things like proof, like, you show that on the first date you paid for it. I'm not opposed to going 50-50 with a guy. I'm not going to like throw a fit about it at all. They're not even going to notice. I'm just saying with my own self, I think it makes like, I think it's a courtesy in a sense of saying, I asked you to hang out. I took you out. I like you. There's validation in the fact that I like you because I paid for it. I took time out of my day, out of my, I filled your cup. I took you to dinner. I filled your cup. Like,
can I also say something real quick?
Yeah.
I do think the man should pay for the first date. I do, but let's say he's in a financial compromise, whatever. He doesn't have a ton of money right now.
In the scenario, he's not.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, he could take us on a picnic. Like, I would like him to show something. It doesn't have to be financially, but he has to show, like, oh, I planned this. I'm taking us here.
Sure,
we're doing
we can
this.
talk about like the who pays topic, but we're getting a little bit away from like kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Gianna, you had something. Go ahead.
So I kind of feel like this is semi-similar to what we were just talking about. Kind of like how some of the girls said, when we find a guy that we feel more connected to, we wait till, longer to have sex with them rather than...
Just really quick question on that. So you're saying the guys you feel really connected to, those are the guys that have to wait for sex, but the guys you are not connected to get to right away.
That's it.
Female logic, by the way.
Not me.
Girl math.
Anyway.
So just to be clear, you guys the men that treat you like are less of a match? Like, is that's what you're
because
saying?
I think we need our sexual needs met regardless. Some of us do. And so, yeah, like some guy to just is fine, but like, yes, if I want to date you, then like, yeah.
Gian, I did not mean to interrupt, but I wanted clarification. Go ahead.
Doesn't that literally sound like you're punishing the people that you
I agree, it
want to
actually
be
does. With? I have contradicting beliefs on this. So.
Yep, go ahead, Gianna.
So then I felt like it was similar because us going 50-50 on a date, whoever raised their hand or didn't, it's kind of like you guys were also saying, if you feel more like connected to the guy, you would rather go 50-50 or you wouldn't.
If I really if I really like someone, I don't mind. I've been in relationships and I've paid for things. I don't mind. If I really love you, like, I don't mind.
Okay.